Hi, this is Henry Sanders back with another episode of Real Talk. If you ever were curious about Wisconsin, I know a lot of people are talking about our state these days, and you wonder if the state of Wisconsin, what are we doing for inclusion, what we're doing to be progressive, what we're doing to be innovative, we have potentially the first Native American Congresswoman in the state of Wisconsin on this interview. So I'm so excited to have her. Tricia, how are you doing?
I am great. How are you today, Henry? Thank you so much for having me.
I am good. It's Monday. It's a good day, and I'm happy to have you on here and all your wonderful energy and find what's going on. Is it 26 counties up there? Is it 26?
It's a 26 county congressional district here, the northern third of the state.
Wow. So people from not Wisconsin, we have 72 counties in the state, and so you basically have 26, and it's a big rural area up there. I mean, it's beautiful, but big.
It's expansive. I put thousands upon thousands of miles on my car getting throughout this district, listening to voter concerns. Of course, that was pre-COVID-19, but yeah, it would be a 6-hour drive round trip just to go visit an area. I try to be efficient with my time, though. If I'm over in, Hudson area, I'd try to do 3 things in the day. But still, I'd be in the car 6 hours just there and back.
So tell us, for people who don't know about you, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I was born and raised in Wausau, which is in Marathon County. I grew up in a strong union household. My mom is a 30-plus year union member of USW Local 2-224. I am the granddaughter of a dairy farmer. My grandpa had a small dairy farm in the town of Easton, just outside of Wausau. I am a member of HoChunk Nation, as you mentioned. I am a first-generation college graduate. I earned a triple major and certificate in 4 years at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I had to put myself through school along with assistance from my tribe and scholarships. I also worked 2 jobs to get through college. And then I went to law school at UCLA, and I chose UCLA because of their stellar federal Indian law and tribal legal development program. I wanted to be able to gain that education and experience and bring it back to Wisconsin, which is exactly what I did. There was an opportunity that arose in my tribe, a special election, and that was for the seat of Associate Justice on the HoChunk Nation Supreme Court. I was the underdog, but I campaigned very hard. In fact, the tribal elders say I set a new standard of campaigning in the HoChunk Nation. And I did prevail in that election, and I'm actually in my second elected term as Associate Justice on the HoChunk Supreme Court. I did make my way back to Wisconsin after that first election with my young son in tow. I am a solo parent, and made my way back to Wausau. And I'm currently school board president of the Wausau School District, and I'm running for Congress as a Democratic candidate in the 7th Congressional District. The special election is coming up quickly here on May 12th, and it is an amazing opportunity. When we flip this district back to blue, Wisconsin is blue again.
Wow, you're fired up.
I sure am.
You're fired up, ready to go. Wow, what's all that passion?
I'm ready to get to work. I'm ready. We have things that we need to take care of here in Wisconsin, and I am ready to get to work.
How has COVID-19 impacted your campaign?
Well, as soon as the CDC came down with the recommendations, we canceled all public events in the interest of health and safety of Wisconsinites. We had to transition virtually. So we did a lot of listening sessions through Zoom. We did Facebook Live Town Hall. That was really fun. We transitioned fundraising to Zoom meetings. This is a grassroots campaign. I refuse to accept corporate PAC money. And so we were able to have fundraisers through Zoom, and we continue to. And making a lot of phone calls, checking in with people, seeing how they're doing. It has drastically changed. When I was first running, all up until COVID-19, I'd be out talking about the issues, hearing voter concerns. And now people aren't talking about those so much. We're just talking about COVID-19 and how we're going to get through this. And people want their lives to resume to normal, or whatever our new normal looks like. But we're adapting. We have to deal with the cards that we're dealt. And I think we're doing a really great job. We're reaching out to so many people. And there's a lot of people that are supporting this campaign and also reaching out to people.
I see is that your son behind you in the pictures? Is that your son in the pictures?
Yeah, he's kind of cut off there. I'll just put it up there so you can see him a little bit.
Well, he's a good looking young man.
Yes, he is.
How is he dealing with mom being gone campaign? Because when you run for office, someone who's run, it's not just you who's running; it's your whole family who is running. How is he dealing? Your family dealing with you running? How are they dealing with it?
Well, yes. Like I said, I'm a solo parent, so my family consists of my 9-year-old son and our dog, our rescue pup Diesel. My son knows mom runs for elected positions, whether it was running for HoChunk Nation Supreme Court. And, with our tribe, we don't have a reservation. So when I was campaigning, that was all throughout the state of Wisconsin. We hold our lands in federal trust. And boy, if that wasn't foreshadowing to campaigning in a 26 county congressional district, I don't know what is. But and then when I ran for school board, I knocked on 3,500 doors here in Wausau, which is a lot more than I think people tend to do for school board. And my son was with me for the bulk of that, quite frankly. And then when this opportunity to run for this seat arose, the very first person that I consulted was my son. I had a lot of conversations in the decision making, but the very first person was my son. He was deeply supportive. If I'm just being honest, he wants me to run for president. I said one thing at a time. So right now, let's focus on this and see how we can make life better here for Wisconsinites in this capacity. But it's been quite a journey. He's been really supportive. I do have to say it's been a little bit difficult since COVID-19 with him not in school and then doing I don't want to call it homeschooling because the teachers and district are still fully involved, but it does fall on me to make sure that he is getting his work done every day. We get the list from the teachers, and so that's just been a little bit of a challenge. It already is a challenging district, right? Part of my consideration last fall was, okay, gerrymandered district, don't have the name recognition of my likely opponent. If somebody had said, well, you're also going to be campaigning at the end of it during a global pandemic while trying to homeschool your son, I still would have said yes, because Wisconsin 7 deserves and needs real representation for the people. But we certainly didn't anticipate this.
Yeah, you in an interesting area. What do you think the difference of so people from Madison who might not understand some of the issues going on up in your area? What would you say some of the key issues that are going on in northern Wisconsin?
Well, some are probably the same as in Madison, but there are some that are starkly different. We need to ensure affordable access, affordable, accessible health care, including mental health care. We need to make sure that people with pre-existing conditions are covered without penalty. We need to take on big pharma and drastically lower the cost of prescription drugs. We need to ensure broadband access throughout Wisconsin 7. That is a critical issue, and we are seeing that now more than ever with COVID-19. I'm in the largest city in the district, Wausau, and it's probably 48,000, 50,000 people in Wausau. You can go on just the outskirts of Wausau and have broadband issues. And it's very severe through parts of this district. Protecting the environment is critical. We have some of the most beautiful lands here in northern Wisconsin, and our hunters and our anglers need to be able to, do their sports, and we need to enjoy these lands, and we need to ensure clean air, clean water, and that our beautiful lands stay protected from corporate greed for generations to come. And another thing that we have here are caretaker deserts, whether it's child care or care for our elderly populations. But there are people that they can't find childcare. They've got to drive an hour one way. So we've got these childcare deserts. And really what it comes down to is making sure that we value people for the work that they do. When we get to valuing people with a living wage, we'll be able to keep people in those jobs, whether it's childcare or CNAs or whoever it might be that takes care of elderly populations. But that is an issue in northern Wisconsin as well.
I know offline we talked about Congressman Obie endorsed you, someone who has a wealth of knowledge in the area. What is his take of the new, for someone like you running historical, you'd be running to be a historical thing for the district. What of wisdom has he given you about running for office?
Well, Congressman Dave Obie has been incredibly supportive since the start. I spoke with him before I announced, basically had his blessing, if you will, and we had such great conversations since, and actually just had an event in Zoom with him last week, and he said the most humbling words in support, and he has endorsed me in this race, but he's excited. He's excited that there is finally somebody that can continue on with his legacy and make sure that we have real representation for the people again. I'm really looking forward to bringing back the amazing constituency services that he had. We have been without that here in Wisconsin 7 since his successor. Just making sure that we have town halls that everybody has notice about. That did not happen with Congressman Obie's successor. Making sure that people get the help that they need when they reach out, making sure that people get substantive responses to their concerns and not just some boilerplate, letter that goes out 6 weeks later. As you can tell, maybe you can tell anyway, I've had some of these experiences with my most previous representative, and I want to make sure that people are treated with respect by their congresswoman.
Well, one thing about COVID-19, I've said this to all the leaders I talk to, is when something like this happens to a community or to a state or to the nation, you can tell who leaders are, and you can learn about your own leadership style because, when people look for you for leadership, what have you learned about yourself through this COVID-19 issue? Have you learned more about your leadership style of how you would lead?
Well, I think it's really important to check in with people, see how people are doing, and find out how I can assist them. I also think it's important this is something that's not so much about COVID-19, but something that I've learned in my work on the school board. The very first thing that I did when I got on the school board was reach out to all the other members of the school board. I was the only new person on the board at the time, and see if they had time for a personal meeting, coffee in their office, whatever, just to have that kind of human connection one-on-one. And I work really well with my fellow board members. In fact, they're nonpartisan seats, but you kind of know where people fall. And the person that I work the best with on the school board is politically opposite end of the spectrum, but we work really well through respectful communication, listening to each other, going to the facts and data as a source of decision-making, which I don't think enough people in powerful decision-making positions do. So that is something that I would work on or bring to Congress, rather, is number one, making sure that we're actually reaching out and listening to people's needs. This is something that I do also as a school board president. I reach out to the teachers, to the union leadership when we are considering policy changes. And I say, hey, is there something that I'm not seeing, that I'm not considering the impact on your end? And try to get their input before we make these decisions. And that is something else that I would do. But these are pretty simple things, I think. Hearing from the people you represent, hearing from the people that are going to be impacted, and working well with one another. I am committed to working across the aisle to achieve bipartisan solutions that make life better here in Wisconsin.
You are, we've never met face to face, I don't think, but you're like a ball of energy. I can tell all the energy through here. This is awesome that you have all this passion, because you need it. You need this type of passion to run for office and to represent this, 26 counties. That's a big area. So you need this energy.
Well, I'll tell you something. When I was getting out in the district, I was getting tired. Those drives would be tiresome. And people would say, why don't you use a driver? Why don't you have a driver? And maybe I've got tiny control issues, but I know I've got to get home to my son. And I feel better if I'm the one driving. No offense to anybody else who's driving, but I just know a little bit more. I'm focused on this, getting home safely to my son. But it would get tiring. And then I would get into rooms, and people are so excited about the possibility for real representation again. And I've been in rooms that have been packed, and people say, we've never seen this turnout for a Democratic candidate for Congress before. I've had people crying. They were so happy that we finally have an opportunity here. So it continues to fill me with energy, and I have it now because there are so many people that are supporting me, and even those that aren't and that won't vote for me, I am looking forward to representing them, because that is what a representative does. You don't just represent the people that voted for you, you represent everybody. And I'm looking forward to working hard for everybody here in Wisconsin 7. And that does motivate me.
Well, that's great. So tell me, you are HoChunk, and what would this mean to you if you won for the HoChunk Nation? And what do you think it would mean for the HoChunk Nation to have a representative in Congress?
Well, it would be historic, that's for sure. And I don't even know that the true effect would hit me until the results on May 12th. I'm in my basement right now, and I collect HoChunk baskets. My grandma was a HoChunk basket maker. She stood on the side of the road with her siblings and her parents, and they sold these beautiful baskets, and there were dirt roads in Wittenberg, Wisconsin, and they did that to make ends meet and to be able to survive. And so when I returned back to Wisconsin, I started seeing these baskets and collecting them as I'd stumble on them on my, whether it's estate sales, antique stores, what have you. And the reason that I do is because they symbolize to me perseverance and resilience. And I think about what my relatives went through. And I think about how it wasn't for me to just care about myself or just care about my son. And I think that HoChunk Nation, we are the people of the big voice. I'm prepared to use that big voice for the benefit of all Wisconsinites in Congress. But I do feel an obligation and a duty to give back. I have been given opportunities in my life that I seized upon. And I believe that's the role of a representative, to make sure that people have those opportunities. I come from very humble beginnings. My parents were very young when I was born. But because of those opportunities, my life looks very different than people might have thought if you looked at me on paper 30 years ago. And because of that, like I said, I feel an obligation and a duty to give back.
Let's say May 13th, you are the new Congresswoman for the district. What do you do on your first day when you first get elected? And then what do you do to make sure that you don't kind of fall into the Washington, D.C. Politics and get caught up in Washington, D.C. and keep the Wisconsin feel to you? I've been around this game for a long time, and I know a lot of wonderful politicians, but I've also seen how D.C. changes people once they get there. Good people get into a system that changes them. What do you do to keep this wonderful heart that you clearly have, this passion that you have, that you stay yourself centered in who you are and not get caught up in D.C.?
Well, I am 39 years old. I'm going to be 40 in June. I don't see myself changing who I am. In fact, this is a fun question because I recently looked at my, we call it Facebook for law school, and everybody would submit their kind of bio going into the first year of law school so people could meet each other that way in this hard copy. This was before the days of Facebook, the real Facebook. And I looked at the bio, and it was me to this day. Same likes, same everything. I understand the concern that people have. They say, oh, you're going there. This is who I am. I'm not going to change. I'm a hard worker. I'm going to continue to be a hard worker. I'm going to establish the relationships and do all the work that I need to do to make things better here in Wisconsin. And so I appreciate the question, but that is not a risk here. Well,
thank you for spending time with us on Real Talk. We wish you nothing but the best while you're traveling that big district. And we hope to interview on May 13th as a winner. We love to talk to you more and be supportive in where we can. So thank you for doing all you're doing. And being a mom doing this is tough. So we wish you the best in that light too. And to do all you can do, keep running and run hard.
Thank you. I appreciate the time today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for another episode of Real Talk. We'll see you next time.